voice with my cadence, tenor, and syncopation. This is the result. The words you're hearing were never spoken by the real Bill into a microphone or to a camera. He merely typed the words into a computer and they come out of my mouth. I could be lounging at the beach and say, folks, I'm not going to come in today, but you can use my avatar to do the work.
You could do that. Maybe in a few years.
Yeah, don't tell me that. I'd be tempted.
A few years sounds like a long time until it happens. The future always seems distant, right up until the moment it arrives. Just a few years ago, the idea that artificial intelligence could create artwork, write stories, compose music, or even imitate human voices sounded impossible to most people. Today, those things are no longer predictions. They're reality. Artificial intelligence is already changing the way we create, communicate, and express ourselves. It's opening new opportunities, raising difficult questions, and challenging what many people once believed made human creativity unique. As AI continues to evolve, society faces a new question that becomes more important every single day. What happens when machines begin creating alongside us? AI has quickly become one of the most influential technologies in modern day society. What once seemed impossible is now becoming part of everyday life. AI can create paintings, generate music, write stories, and even imitate human voices within seconds. While some people think AI will expand creativity and opportunity, others may fear it could weaken originality and replace human creators. As AI continues to evolve, society must decide whether this technology will support creativity or threaten it. This leads me to my essential question. How does AI generated content influence creative expression and opportunity? And what potential could it hold for growth or conflict in the future? This question has become very important as artificial intelligence enters creative industries. AI-generated content is becoming more and more common online and in professional spaces, raising important questions about originality, ownership, and the future of creativity itself. AI is transforming creative industries by increasing accessibility and efficiency, but it also raises ethical, legal, and cultural concerns that may threaten originality and human creativity. Artificial intelligence is constantly changing the way people make and consume content across industries such as music, film, art, and writing. While AI offers new opportunities by making creative tools more accessible and efficient, it also creates serious concerns involving copyright, authenticity, job security, and originality. Throughout this documentary, I will talk about the positive and negative effects of AI-generated content and explain whether artificial intelligence will ultimately support human creativity or weaken it in the long run. As you can see, on the left are original works of art made by artists such as Edvard Munch, Leonardo da Vinci, and on the right are AI-generated versions inspired by those same works. At first glance, the AI images may seem impressive. They are colorful, very detailed, and visually appealing. In some cases, they may even appear more polished than the originals. However, many critics argue that technical quality is not the same thing as creativity. Take The Scream for example. The original painting was created by Edvard Munch as an expression of anxiety, fear, and emotional distress. Every brushstroke was influenced by the artist's personal experiences and emotions. The AI version copies the style and overall appearance, but it does not understand the feelings that inspire the artwork. The same can be said for the Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci spent years studying anatomy, light, shadow, and human expression. The original painting became famous not just because of how it looks, but because of the mystery, history, and craftsmanship behind it. The AI version recreates the appearance, but it skips the creative journey that made the original meaningful. One thing many people notice is that AI generated art can sometimes feel rushed or overly perfect. AI often exaggerates certain features, increases contrast, sharpens details, or smooths imperfections because it is trying to make something visually appealing as quickly as possible. Human artists, on the other hand, often leave imperfections, subtle details, and personal choices that reflect their individual style. These small imperfections can make artwork feel more authentic and emotionally connected. The question isn't whether AI can create images, because clearly it can. The real question is whether recreating a style is the same as creating something original. With that being said, let's now get into my first bullet point, the audience's perspective. Knowing a machine made the art often destroys the emotional bond for the viewer. When people look at art, listen to music, or watch a film, they're not just reacting to what they see or hear in the moment. They are also reacting to the idea that another human being made it. That's why knowing something was made by a real person changes how we experience it. There's a sense of connection. It feels like someone is speaking directly to you through their work, even if they've never met you. A good example is music. A song can sound catchy or emotional on its own, but when you learn that the artist wrote it after going through something real, like a breakup or a personal struggle, the meaning of the song becomes even deeper. You can also see this in something simple like a handwritten letter compared to a digital message. Even if the words are exactly the same, a handwritten note feels more personal. You can see effort, time, and attention in it. Now going into my second bullet point, loss of trust. AI influencers and synthetic content is turning social media into a hollow, untrustworthy space. One of the biggest concerns with AI today is that it's starting to blur the line between what is real and what is artificial. We're now entering a world where AI-generated influencers exist. These are completely digital characters that look like real people, act like real people, and even interact with audience like real people. But they don't actually exist in the physical world. A well-known example is Lil McQuilla, a virtual influencer who has millions of followers and has even worked with major fashion brands. On the surface, she looks like any other social media influencer, but everything about her is artificially created. This raises a bigger issue. If people are constantly exposed to content that looks real but isn't, it becomes harder to trust anything online. Social media is already filled with edited images and staged content, but AI takes it a step further by creating entirely fake identities. Now going into my final bullet point in this section, stifle innovation. Because AI only remixes past human data, it can loop existing styles instead of creating true breakthroughs. AI is often described as creative, but it's important to understand how it actually works. AI systems are trained on massive amounts of existing human-created content. They learn patterns, styles, and structures from what already exists. Then, when prompted, they generate something new based on those patterns. But this means AI is fundamentally grounded in the past. It recombines existing ideas rather than making something entirely lived experience or emotional discovery. Human creativity works differently. A lot of innovation comes from mistakes, unpredictability, and personal expression. Artists don't just follow patterns, they break them. For example, Pablo Picasso didn't copy traditional painting styles. He helped create Cubism, a completely new way of seeing and representing reality. Vincent van Gogh developed a style that was deeply emotional and unique, shaped by his personal struggles and vision of the world. These kinds of breakthroughs don't just come from predicting what already exists. They come from lived experience, emotion, and risks. things AI does not have access to. Before we get into our next subtopic, take a second and think to yourself, have I used AI before? Was it helpful? Was it not? Well, in most cases, it most likely was. And that is what we will be getting into our next subtopic. Now, let's get into our first bullet point. AI as a tool. It helps and supports human creators rather than replacing them. It's important to understand that AI isn't automatically replacing creativity. In many cases, it's being used as a tool rather than a replacement. Just like Photoshop changed how photographers edit images, AI is changing how creators brainstorm, design, and produce content. For example, writers can use AI to explore ideas when they're stuck, or to generate rough outlines before refining their work. Filmmakers can use AI tools to quickly visualize scenes before production even begins. The key difference is that the human is still in control. The AI is assisting the creative process, not fully replacing it. This is similar to how other technologies have evolved in the past. When digital editing tools first became popular, people also worried it would replace traditional art. Instead, it became a standard part of the creative process. The same thing is happening in writing. Many writers use AI to brainstorm ideas, explore different perspectives, or overcome writer's block. The final story still depends on the human judgment, but AI can help creators get started when they hit a creative roadblock. In some ways, AI is becoming similar to a calculator for creativity. A calculator doesn't replace a mathematician's understanding of math. It simply helps perform certain tasks more efficiently. Supporters of AI argue that creative tools can work the same way. This raises an interesting question. If technology has always helped artists create more efficiently, is AI simply the next step in that evolution? Or is it fundamentally different from the tools that came before it? My second bullet point, workflow boost. Helps artists quickly brainstorm ideas and streamline production. One of the strongest arguments in favor of AI is the increase in productivity it offers. Throughout history, new technologies have consistently changed how creative work is produced. Film editing moved from physically cutting reels of film to digital software. Graphic designers moved from drawing boards to computers. AI represents another major shift in that process. In filmmaking, pre-production often takes weeks or months. Directors must create shot lists, concept art, storyboards, and visual references before filming even begins. Today, AI tools can generate rough storyboards, camera suggestions, and scene visualizations in minutes, helping creators communicate ideas more efficiently. Researchers and software developers are actively building AI systems designed to help directors visualize scenes before production even begins. In music production, AI can help remove background noise, suggest harmonies, organize samples, or speed up mixing workflows. For independent creators who may not have large teams or budgets, saving time can make a huge difference. A project that once required several people may now be achievable by one person with the right tools. However, critics argue that speed should not always be the primary goal of creativity. Sometimes the slow process of experimentation and revision is where the best ideas emerge. This creates a tension between efficiency and artistic exploration, a debate that continues throughout many creative industries today. Now going into my final bullet point, an equalizer for artists. Enables independent creators to produce professional level content with fewer resources. One of the most transformative aspects of AI may be its ability to make professional tools available to more people. For decades, high-level creative production often required expensive equipment, specialized training, and access to professional studios. Today, many of those barriers are beginning to disappear. A teenager with a smartphone can record video, edit footage, generate graphics, create music, and distribute content to a global audience. In fact, Many successful YouTube creators, musicians, and filmmakers began with little more than basic equipment and free software. Supporters of AI believe these tools democratize creativity by giving more people access to capabilities that were once reserved for larger companies. This could lead to more diverse voices being heard. People from different backgrounds, locations, and economic situations may now have opportunities that previously would have been impossible. At the same time, some critics worry that if everyone relies on the same AI systems, creative work will begin to feel similar over time. So while AI may increase access, it also raises important questions about originality and individuality. As concerns surrounding copyright and ownership continue growing, many people are also beginning to question whether audiences will still value authenticity and emotional connection in a future increasingly influenced by artificial intelligence. Which now leads me into my next subtopic.
Now let's talk about deepfakes in the news. Now, deepfakes and generative media, again, most use cases great, but in a dangerous world, we're hearing what appears to be our president telling us not to vote. We're hearing what appears to be doctors telling us not to get vaccinated. We're seeing deepfake non-consensual pornography of Taylor Swift and our loved ones. We're seeing high school students using what are called nudify applications to make women in their class appear nude. Regulations, they don't quite exist yet, but we'll talk about those in a moment.
What makes videos like this so powerful isn't just the technology itself, it's how easily they challenge our ability to trust what we're seeing. For most of human history, seeing something with your own eyes was considered one of the most strongest forms of evidence. As technology evolved, photographs and videos became records of reality. Today, however, artificial intelligence is becoming to blur that line. In other words, artificial intelligence doesn't just have the potential to spread misinformation, it also has the potential to weaken confidence in legitimate information. If people stop trusting videos, images, and audio recordings, it becomes much harder to determine what is true and what is not. The challenge moving forward may not be whether AI can create realistic content. The challenge may be preserving trust in a world where almost anything can be generated artificially. Now let's get straight into our first bullet point: weaponized misinformation. Ultra-realistic deepfakes and voice clones makes it effortless to deceive the public. While AI can be used creatively, it can also be used deceptively. One of the most concerning examples is the rise of deepfakes, highly realistic videos or audio recordings generated by AI. In the past, seeing a video was often considered strong evidence that an event actually happened. Today, that assumption is becoming less reliable. AI systems can generate convincing footage of public figures appearing to say things that they never actually said. This has created concerns about elections, journalism, public trust, and national security. Voice cloning technology has also been used in scams, where criminals imitate the voices of family members or trusted individuals to deceive victims. As these technologies improve, society faces a challenge of determining what evidence can still be trusted today. Now moving on to my second bullet point, the human connection. Art loses its emotional impact without a human lived experience behind it. Despite all of these technological advancements, human connection remains one of the most valuable aspects of creativity. When people attend concerts, watch films, or read books, they are often searching for something more than entertainment. They are searching for connection. They want to feel understood by someone else's experiences. When an audience listens to a musician discuss heartbreak, loss, personal growth, they know those emotions come from real experiences. That shared humanity creates empathy. Even if AI becomes increasingly sophisticated, many people argue that authentic human experiences will continue to hold a unique value that technology cannot fully replicate. And now for my final bullet point of this section: Synthetic social media. AI influencers and virtual personalities threaten to destroy trust in online communities. Another growing concern is the rise of what some experts call synthetic social media. This refers to online spaces where artificial intelligence is used to create personalities, influencers, and content that appear human but are actually generated by technology. AI influencers like Lil Mukwela have gained millions of followers, signed brand deals, and built online communities despite not being real people. To many followers, these accounts can seem just as authentic as traditional influencers. This trend raises important questions about how people form relationships online. Social media has always been built around connection, whether that's following someone's daily life, supporting a creator's work, or feeling inspired by their experiences. AI-generated personalities also create new opportunities for companies. Unlike human influencers, virtual influencers don't get tired, they don't age, and they don't make personal mistakes. They can be controlled by organizations that create them. This level of control can be attractive from a business perspective, but it also changes the nature of online influence. Audiences may not always know who is actually shaping the messages they see. The growth of synthetic social media could also affect the younger generation in particular. Many people spend hours each day interacting with content online, and it may become increasingly difficult to distinguish between human created personalities and artificial generated ones. As AI technology continues to improve, the line between real and artificial identities may become even harder to detect. And this doesn't necessarily mean synthetic social media is inherently harmful. Some virtual creators are transparent about being AI generated and use their platforms responsibly. However, their growing popularity forces society to reconsider what authenticity means in an online world where appearances can be manufactured and personalities can be programmed. This debate about authenticity and human creativity is exactly what concerns critics such as Justine Bateman, who argues that AI often appears independent. AI depends on human creativity while giving the impression that it's independent from it. Even though AI may appear creative on the surface, AI systems still rely heavily on existing human-made material for training and development. AI learns patterns by studying enormous collections of human art, music, writing, and media. Without human creativity, artificial intelligence would not have the information necessary to generate content in the first place. The debate surrounding artificial intelligence is not only about technology itself, it is about how society defines creativity, ownership, and artistic identity in a rapidly changing digital world. Job replacement fear. A primary concern is AI replacing human workers, especially in entry-level creative roles. For a lot of workers, the conversation about AI isn't just philosophical, it's personal. When new technologies emerge, people often wonder whether their jobs will still exist in the future. This concern isn't new. During the Industrial Revolution, machines transformed manufacturing. Computers changed office work. The internet reshaped entire industries. AI represents another major technological shift. But this time, the affected jobs aren't limited to physical labor or repetitive office tasks. Many professionals worry that AI won't necessarily replace experienced experts first. Instead, it may replace the entry-level positions that people traditionally used to gain experience and build careers. And if fewer entry-level opportunities exist, future generations may struggle to develop the expertise needed to become senior professionals. Now into my second bullet point. Vulnerable industries. Fields like film, music, design, and journalism face immediate displacement pressures. Some industries are adapting more quickly than others. In journalism, AI can summarize information, generate reports, and produce basic news articles. This doesn't mean investigative reporters are disappearing. However, routine reporting tasks that once required human writers can now be completed by software. In graphic design, AI images generators can rapidly create logos, advertisements, and concept art. In music production, AI can generate melodies, assist with mixing, and even imitate certain vocal styles. In film production, AI is increasingly being used during editing, visual effects, localization, and pre-production planning. These changes don't necessarily eliminate the need for human professionals. Instead, they change what those professionals spend their time doing. As a result, many experts believe the future workforce may require a different combination of creative skills and adaptability. Now moving on to my final bullet point of this section. Real world backlash. The entertainment industry is actively resisting, highlighted by Hollywood writer and actor protests. The concerns surrounding AI have already moved beyond theory. They have become part of real world labor disputes. In Hollywood, writers and actors have publicly expressed concerns about how AI could be used to generate scripts, recreate performances, or replicate a person's appearance without ongoing involvement. These concerns have become a major topic during industry strikes and negotiations. For many performers, the issue isn't simply about losing work. It is about maintaining control over their identity. If technology can recreate someone's voice, appearance, or performance indefinitely, questions emerge about consent, ownership, and compensation. The discussions taking place in Hollywood today may ultimately influence policies that affect many other industries tomorrow. Yet, despite these concerns, history shows that technological change often recreates new opportunities alongside new challenges. Let's get straight into my first bullet point: new AI careers. It creates new roles like prompt engineers and AI editors, despite displacement concerns. Whenever a new technology transforms society, jobs change. Some roles become less common, while entirely new professions emerge. The rise of the internet created web developers, social media managers, and digital marketers. Similarly, the rise of AI is already creating careers that barely existed a few years ago. Organizations now hire AI consultants to help integrate AI systems into their operations. Companies employ specialists who evaluate AI outputs, improve prompts, monitor performance, and ensure ethical guidelines are followed. Researchers continue developing safer and more reliable AI systems, and educators are beginning to teach students how to effectively collaborate with AI rather than compete against it. These emerging roles suggest that future workers may spend less time performing repetitive tasks, more time directing, evaluating, and refining AI-generated work. Now moving on to my second bullet point: budget friendly. Empowers independent creators to make high quality art, music, and video without big budgets. One of the most immediate benefits of AI is accessibility. In the past, producing professional quality content often required expensive equipment, specialized software, and large production teams. Today, many of those capabilities are becoming available to individual creators. A filmmaker can generate concept art without hiring an illustrator. A musician can experiment with production techniques without renting expensive studio space. A small business can create marketing materials that once required an entire design department. Now on to my final bullet point: lower barriers. Democratizes the industry by removing the need for massive corporate backing or expensive resources. Maybe the most significant long-term impact of AI is the reduction of barriers to entry. Throughout history, creative industries have often been influenced by access to equipment, education, funding, and professional networks. AI has the potential to reduce some of those obstacles. Independent creators can experiment, learn, and build audiences without waiting for approval from large organizations. For this activity, I will display multiple examples of creative work, including images, music clips, and written passages. Some of these examples were made by humans, while others were made by using AI. There will be a 25-second timer for each one, so evaluate as quickly as possible. As you view each example, try to determine which pieces were made by actual people and which were produced using AI systems.
She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. I said I don't mind, but what do you mean? I am the one who danced on the floor in the neon sun. She said her name was Billie Jean, and she caused a scene every time she'd lean, and every head turned with eyes that dreamed of being the one who danced on the floor till the
time. I've been passing time, watching trains go by. All of my life, lying on the sand, watching seabirds fly.
Slide number 1 was AI. Slide number 2 was also AI. And slide number 3 was real. For the poems, slide number 1 was real. Slide number 2 was AI. and slide number 3 was real. And for the music, video 1 was AI, and surprisingly, video 2 also AI. This activity demonstrates how artificial intelligence is beginning to blur the line between human creativity and machine-generated content. The difficulty of distinguishing between human and AI-generated content leads directly into one of the biggest debates surrounding artificial intelligence today. And this leads me to my question. Should AI-generated art be considered real creativity? This question doesn't have one simple answer. Some people argue that creativity requires human emotion, intention, and lived experience. According to this perspective, artificial intelligence can imitate creativity, but it cannot truly create meaningful art because it doesn't experience life or emotions. Others believe that if AI-generated content emotionally impacts audiences or inspires new ideas, it should still be viewed as a legitimate form of creative expression. Supporters of artificial intelligence often argue that AI is simply another tool, similar to cameras, computers, or digital editing software that artists already use today. Artificial intelligence is transforming creative industries in ways that would have seemed impossible only a few years ago. AI offers major advantages involving accessibility, efficiency, and innovation, but it also creates some serious ethical, legal, and cultural concerns. The future of creativity will likely depend on balance. Artificial intelligence can support human creativity, but it should not replace the human experiences, imagination, and emotions that give art its deepest meaning. Artificial intelligence can generate images, imitate voices, compose music, and produce writing within seconds. However, despite how realistic these creations may appear, AI still lacks the consciousness and emotional understanding that define human life. Machines can analyze patterns and recreate styles, yeah, but they cannot truly feel pain, love, ambition, fear, or personal growth in the way us humans do. Because of this, many people believe there will always be something uniquely human about authentic artistic expression.